Welcome back to the podcast. And this week, I am super excited to share with you guys Miss Sarah Williams. This interview was so amazing. She shares with us all about how she got started and some amazing tips that I know are going to make a difference in your business. So listen in closely as Miss Sarah Williams with Launch Your Box shares with us how you too can grow your audience from scratch. Hey, my friend, it's Melanie Ferguson, your host of Creatives on Fire, the podcast where I hope to inspire you to create a profitable six-figure following online. So turn it up and listen in to amazing stories of success, along with behind-the-scenes secrets and valuable tips from, you guessed it, Creatives on Fire. Hey, my friend, I want to ask you a quick question. Do you struggle with overwhelm in your business? How about confidence? Or maybe even just knowing what the very next step is that you need to take for you to see the success you desire? I want to invite you to join me over on the inside. This is where your business will benefit from access to powerful, relevant collaborations with other creatives just like you each and every week. You'll have an opportunity to receive motivated messages every single morning, as well as access to multiple live events. These are all tools that are designed to help you grow your business, get you out of overwhelm, boost your confidence, and show you the path to success that you're looking for. I want to encourage you to go check it out today at creativesonfireinsiders.com. I'll see you over there, my friend, on the inside. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This week, I am overexcited to introduce you guys to a super amazing, awesome entrepreneur, Miss Sarah Williams. She has Launch Your Box. It is a podcast as well as a coaching group, and I can't wait to share her with you guys. Sarah, tell us a little bit more.
So Launch Your Box is a membership that I started to help other entrepreneurs start, launch, and grow their own subscription box the way that I have with mine. So I started with 44 box subscribers, now have almost 3,000 monthly subscribers. It's changed my whole business, and that's what I get to do with my members each month.
Woohoo! Yay! We love success stories here. That's what it's all about. Creatives on fire. And you're certainly on fire. So, but at one point, maybe you weren't feeling like you were on fire. So tell us a little bit about where you started and what worked for you best to grow an audience.
So I started with a local brick and mortar store. I had a really small store. It was local to my town only. And you know, when you're building an audience, having a local community is important, but it also limits your growth by just having the people that could physically walk into your store come shop with you. I was making a lot of my products back then, and it just became where I wanted to get out of this, area. I love my local customers. 38% of my monthly subscribers are local to my town. And so that's a huge deal. But I needed to grow, and it was really hard. I was running Facebook ads. I was doing all the things, jumping through all the hoops, and I just wasn't getting any traction. And for me, it came down to, okay, why do I have such a strong local following, but I can't seem to grow online? And it kind of just hit me one day that when people walk into my store, they get to know me, right, Melanie? They get to know who I am. I get to have conversations with them. Like, I'm the checker, I'm the shipper, I'm the maker, I'm doing all the things, but I'm in their face getting to know them. And I had to figure out how I could turn that personality onto my online space. And that was obviously Facebook Lives, which I had never done at that point. And I was scared. I didn't want to show up live. I didn't want to turn that camera on. I didn't feel like anybody would want to see my face on camera. I'm sure a lot of people have that feeling of self-doubt. And so for me, it was, I got to get over my fears. I got to get over my fears that I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not slim enough. Like those were all those fears going in my head. And I had to get over myself and just hit the dang button and go live. And once I invited those people into my world and I would show up and I would say y'all, and I thought, oh, I got to be professional, and I didn't have to be. I could just be me, and people resonated with that and people got to know me. And then my audience started to grow and it started to build these relationships online exactly the way that I did in person in my retail store.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. That's the best way I've ever heard that put. So, yes, the light bulb went off when you figured out that they were seeing you in person, but they weren't seeing you in person on your Facebook page.
Mhm.
So, you got over the fear of hitting the button, I'm assuming, because you're all over the internet now. Is there any secret formula or any proven system that you use to be consistent once you did just push that button?
I think that's the important part, Melanie, is that you have to be consistent with it. And I'm going to tell you, like, it was not easy for me. I'm a huge introvert and I sat there for hours, some days looking at the camera, trying to push the button, trying to work up the nerve, tears coming out of my eyes. I can't do this. I'm just going to be local. I cannot show up live. And I had my virtual assistant on the other end waiting for me to show up live. And she's like, I've got to go to lunch soon. So you're either going to have to push this button or we're not doing this today. And I was like, okay, we have to push the button. I got to go. She was pushing me. And that's what I needed. I needed someone to push me to do it. And here's the other thing that was important to me. I already told you I didn't like the way I looked, right? Like I had a lot of self-confidence issues. And so one morning I went and got a blowout at a local blow and dry bar. I went and got a blowout. I got my hair done. And you know what it did for me? It made me feel good about myself. And it helped me push that button. And so every Friday I would go get a blowout. It cost me $35. I would go get a blowout and I would do a live every Friday. And it was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to feel good about myself. I'm going to go get a blowout. So I wouldn't go get a blowout. And I still get blowouts every Friday, Melanie. And that was the thing.
Oh my goodness.
I had to do something that made me feel good about myself. And that made me feel good, which allowed me to show up in a way that I wanted to for others. And it doesn't take much, but maybe that's wearing a new shirt. Maybe that's doing your makeup maybe you're at home working all the time and you never even do your hair and makeup. Maybe it's that one thing that makes you feel good about yourself that you can weave into your life. And that will encourage you to show up for other people, because when you can be confident, I knew what I had to offer other people. I just couldn't communicate it because I had so much self-doubt. And so once I was able to do that, those first lives are terrible. They're terrible. Honestly, if you haven't had a terrible first live, you haven't lived, right?
Right.
And so you got to get those terrible ones out of the way. I feel like it's the same as like when you record your podcast for the first time. Those are terrible. The first episodes are terrible. You got to find your thing. You got to find what makes you comfortable. And so pick a date. That's my first thing. Pick a date that you can go live the same day every single week. Pick a time. And it doesn't have to be the time that you think most people are watching. It has to be convenient for you, because if you pick a time that's not convenient for you, you're going to find excuses not to do it. So 9:00 every Friday, it was right after my blowout. I would grab a couple things in my retail store. I would show up live and talk about these new items in my store. And it turned into this thing that people would like grab their coffee and come hang out with me live. And so it just like snowballed from there. And I really I almost doubled my audience in about 4 months when I started going live every Friday.
That is so awesome. So I heard a couple of quick, amazing gold nuggets there. One was that you had an accountability partner. You don't even probably have to hire somebody, but just the fact that you had another human being on the other side of the camera waiting on you to hit the live button is huge. That is huge. And then your second amazing nugget is obviously the blowout. I mean, who knew that you could do something as simple as get your hair did to make such an impression on your future success? So, oh my gosh, Sarah, that is so amazing. So let me ask you, once you started doing this and about 4 months later, you had doubled your audience, like Was that when, or when did you start to realize this could really become something I could monetize even further?
Well, I was seeing the same customer come into my store all the time, and they would show up on the lives all the time. And what happened was I'd have something new and they would miss the live, or they would not be in the store for another week. And by the time they came in, it was sold out. And they're like, oh, I always miss the good stuff. And it was this reoccurring customer that they would come in about once a month and they would buy stuff, but they would always make these comments like, I missed that. I didn't get it quick enough. I didn't, you sold out before I had a chance to come by. And that was a trigger for me, because it felt like, okay, I have this customer that comes to buy from me about once a month in the store, and they love the new items and they want to be exclusive. How could I create like a VIP type of thing in my business where they got the first, the new, the exclusive before anybody else? And that's when I decided on my subscription box. And I said, I'm going to create this thing that nobody can get unless they're a subscriber. They're the VIP of my business. It's exclusive. They get first access to things. I wouldn't sell these things in my store because only my subscribers get them, make them feel super special. And that's when I started my subscription box. And I started with 44 subscribers. And I love to say that number because 44 people believed in me to make a commitment to me. And I didn't have any fancy marketing. I literally had a blank box that I overlaid my logo on. Like there was nothing to show them. It was the worst launch marketing that I've ever done. I can say that now, 4 years later, but back then, I was like, I have this box. If you like the things in my shop, you want to have first access, you want to have exclusive designs, you're going to want to be a subscriber. And 44 people took me up on that right away. And then 44 turned into 75, and then 75 turned into 150. And then now we're here today, 4 years later, with 3,000 subscribers that I get to talk to every Friday on my Friday Lives.
I love it. I love it. What an amazing success story. And I think that I want everybody to hear the fact that what you see on people's outside, you're not seeing the swimming going on underneath the water, right? Underneath the surface. So did you hear the part where she said 4 years later? So there's a lot of consistency there, and a lot of distractions have probably come up, and shiny objects that you could have branched out different ways or changed up what you were doing that was working. How did you stay focused?
I think the important part is that, especially as creatives, like we can do everything, right? Like we can do so many things, and our mind, we want to like, oh, I can make that. I can make that. I can do that. Oh, that's cute. Shut it down. Shut it down. Because if you put your hands in all these different pots, you're not going to be the master of anything. And so I was there. I was making door hangers. I was making frames. And then I started monogramming, and that's when I started personalizing. And I came to this crossroads where there was just not enough hours in the day to do everything. And I had to really look at what was most time consuming, what was most profitable, and really make a decision on which direction I wanted to go with my business. And once you go all in with that one thing, you're become known for it. People find you because of it, and you're not trying to be the jack of all trades anymore, because that's exhausting.
Amen, sister. I mean, seriously, I know. So let me ask you, once you became known for one thing, what kind of doors opened up for you?
Well, it opened up a whole new business for me, right? So when my subscription boxes were starting to get some traction, and I was 300, 400, 500 subscribers, people started asking me, can I pick your brain? Can I ask you these questions? And I was like, sure. I want to share with everyone because it's changed my life, Melanie. It changed me from having to show up every day and sell something and hoping that I could pay for groceries or pay the rent or whatever was happening in my life, to knowing that I had this steady income and I was living more comfortably and I could count on that money coming in. I didn't have to do a craft show. I didn't have to show up and do a Christmas event. I was selling stuff every single month, and I knew it would hit my bank account every month on that same day. And so I wanted to share that with other people. So I started answering the DMs like, sure, you can do this. This is what I do. This is what I use. And then someone came to me very unexpectedly and said, can I pay you to help me start my subscription box. Can I pay you for 3 months to get me through this process? So I think it was like May, and she wanted to launch her box in August. Can I pay you this summer to work with me one-on-one so I can get my subscription box launched? And I was like, sure. And I charged her so little amount. I didn't even know what I was doing, Melanie, but I loved it. And I helped her get her box started. And she launched with over 100 subscribers. And I felt so proud of her. And I loved that feeling. And I thought, I need to do this. I need to do this for more people. And as more and more people started asking me questions, I said, okay, Sarah, like, I know you're afraid of this camera thing still. And, but you got something special that you need to share with other people. And I launched my membership called Launch Your Box. And we have over 2,000 people inside the membership today from all different industries, from DIY to pets to t-shirts to anything that you can think of, honestly. And they are launching their reoccurring revenue in their business through a subscription box.
Wow. Just wow. Oh my goodness. What an amazing story you have to share. And I'm so glad you're willing to share it, because that is gold for all the listeners. Let me ask you one other question. If you were back at the very beginning when you were scared to even step foot, I mean, you had no idea what was behind that fear. What advice would you give yourself?
I think you've got to have that accountability, right? I think you touched on that. I had that virtual assistant, but here's what else I had. I had friends that really cared about what I was doing and pushed me. And when I said, hey, I'm going to go live and I'm worried no one's going to be there, can you show up and can you say, hey, I love those earrings you have on, or hey, can you tell me how I can get that shirt? It made me feel like I was talking to someone. And so I had these people that surrounded me that really believed in what I was doing. And I think that's really important. If you can just find a little group of people, they're your friends, they might be your family, they might be, someone that has a business in your town as well, like your business buddy, but having accountability to really push you. I could have easily not gone live that day, Melanie. I could have easily said, I can't do this. I have a great little local following. I'm fine. And you know what? I'd still be standing there behind that register, checking people out and playing small. I would. My whole life has changed because I decided to push that button and keep pushing that button and keep pushing myself more. And if we stop stretching ourselves, we stop growing. So how can you stretch yourself, and how can you have people surround you that can help you stretch?
Yes. And think of all the other people's lives you've changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That is huge. That is huge. So Sarah, if we wanted to get a hold of you, how could we get a hold of you best? And what is it that we would find?
So you can head over to launchyourboxwithsarah.com. That is the hub for all of my subscription box coaching things. I have a great packaging resource. Maybe you ship things already. Maybe you're thinking about a subscription box for yourself. And I have this great little free resource where you can find all the packaging resources that I use and that most of my members use as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, because I know you have so many people in your world to communicate with, and I just appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sarah. It was fun. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much, my friend, for listening to the podcast. I'm blessed every single time you come back and listen to an episode. It's especially amazing when you share it with others on social media. So be sure to follow Creatives on Fire online. Listen, if you have not already done so, I want you to go ahead and download the 5 ideas I personally used to explode my online audience growth to a 6-figure following. You can find that at creativesonfirepodcast.com. I appreciate you, and until next time, stay inspired.